Okay, so what we're ready now to do is to tie in the tail. As you saw maybe whenever I was panning at the very beginning, the tail is made up of three different types of, three different colours of Arctic Runner. So as well as the sort of the colours, another very important aspect is the actual the way they're layered. Whenever you're using a very soft material like Fox or Arctic Runner, it's quite easy for them to wrap around the hooks as you're fishing with the fly. But one of the things that Ross has done has looked at to combat this is to layer it in such a way that it doesn't do so. And what Ross has actually done is he's used the first layer, which is the red, and it's relatively dense and relatively short, and then the layers above that, the two layers above that, are actually longer and finer. So by using a short dense layer at the beginning, it actually helps to hold the longer hair or longer part of the wing above it away from the hook, so that actually works very well. It's very effective in the fishing. I say this is Arctic Runner. There's a lot of debate whether or not sort of the value or worth of using Arctic Runner. It is quite a relatively expensive material for what you get. I use Vineyard stuff, which does vary quite a bit in terms of the quality. But I don't know if you can maybe see that from the camera, but there's like a translucence about Runner that you don't get from Fox. This is a Fox, just a bit of Fox by comparison. And the Fox is just a duller colour, whereas the Runner has, as I said, a translucence, and it also has these sort of longer guard hairs. So as I say, I like the Arctic Runner is what is used in the original pattern. Ross had obviously experimented with different materials, and this is the one that he's arrived at. When you see it in the water, it really does become alive. So as I say, that's what I like to use in the tail. So the first layer is our red, and I've made one earlier just to speed things up. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a slight tapering in it as well, and slightly tapered longer at the top. So literally we just tie that in, and what we want to be doing is to tie it just about to where the hooks would come, the hook points. And as I say, you want this layer to be quite dense and quite short, so as it holds the longer layers above it away from the hook points. So literally just tie that in like that, and use your thumb just to spread it around a little bit just on the tube, and then just tie it in just like that. And what you want to do as well is to tie it to just about the length of the body, because you want to have a nice even base to be tying onto. Then the next layer is the orange, and as you can see here, what you want to do is you want to tie the orange longer, quite a bit longer than the red, and it's also finer, and use more of the guard hairs and less of the under hairs. So let's just tie it in like that, and again just tie it down to where your body will end. At this stage I'll just do another half hitch, because we don't want all those materials to be coming out. You can hopefully see that's already starting to sort of taper nicely. Before I actually tied in the orange, you could also have tied in some angel hair, but I normally just tie it in at this stage here. I think angel hair is a great material, and again Ross has carefully used angel hair. It's a finer material. It still gives the sort of the glint that you want, but it's a much sort of finer material. It doesn't interfere with the natural movement of the materials. Things like crystal hair are sort of heavier types of flash materials. They can sort of affect the movement of the actual material. So again, it's a very well thought out sort of fly in terms of all the materials, and the Runner is an example of that. Whenever I'm tying that in, I just go below the hook just to anchor it in. I also tie it at different lengths, so I tie it in like that, just do a couple of wraps just to secure it, and then I bind that back on itself, and basically that just locks it in, which means it's never going to come out. And I just snip that off. The other thing I like to do is then just to taper it a little bit, because when it gets wet you don't want it all sort of congealing together. So if you cut it at different lengths when it's in the water, it'll keep the movement. So that's our 2 wings plus the flash, and then the final material or layer again is the Arctic Runner, and this time it's the magenta colour, and it should be, so you've got short red, long orange, and then the magenta should be sort of halfway between, and it just sits along the top of the wing. Like that. And again, just snip that off. And you'll see me with just twisting the thread there, or counter spinning it, and what that does, that just helps to flatten the thread, because as you tie, the thread will actually it'll twist and it'll not lay as flat. So that's basically our wing, through our tail. And so what I'll do is I'll just do another half hitch just to make sure that doesn't part company. Okay, so now we're ready to do the body, but the first thing we need to do is to tie in our rib, and as I say, we use Mirage flat tinsel. So let's get some of that, and again what I do is just lock it underneath like that, put it to whatever length you want, and just wind it back up the body. And just put in the materials in there. So that's ready to go.